Hi guys, this is our lesson on our creature tessellations project. So our objective is to create a 9-shaped tessellation inspired by a mythical creature that uses pattern and repetition in its design and color. So let's look a little bit about monsters, mythological creatures, and the monstrous. So most monsters in different cultures say something about what the culture fears and help us cope with what we fear most in life. So think about, why do people go to scary movies and horror movies? Usually because it's a safe place to experience those emotions. And usually those movies kind of tap into something that the culture fears. So it's a safe way to explore those types of emotions and fears in life. So let's look at some classical monsters from Western culture. So the Greeks had a really rich history of mythological creatures, including giants, humanoids, hybrids, dragons, and animals that they used in a lot of their stories and their artwork. One of the most memorable monsters is the Cyclops. So the Cyclops is this humanoid creature that just has one giant eyeball in the middle of its head. And it was thought that this creature was inspired by an elephant skull, so they had found this type of skull and never seen an elephant before. So based on that skull, they imagined that this was some giant creature that had just one eyeball in the middle. And you can kind of see that makes sense, right? So a chimera is another mythical type of creature that is a monstrous, fire-breathing hybrid of different animals. So it has the head of a lion, the hooves of a stag or a goat, the tail of a snake. So it's all of these different parts put together. A similar type of creature is the griffin, which has the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. Another really famous mythological creature that's a humanoid is a minotaur. So the minotaur was trapped inside a labyrinth, and it has the head of a bull and the body of a person. It was supposed to be super, super strong. And then they would throw people into this labyrinth, and then they would end up having to fight the Minotaur. Another very famous creature was Medusa. So she is the only mortal Gorgon, which is a hybrid human with snakes for hair and wings. And the story goes that if she looks at you, you will turn into stone. So there are numerous depictions of Medusa and stories about her. So medieval monsters were very much borrowed from the Greeks, but during that time they started to become really religious in significance and used to tell stories. And there was this book in 14th century that was an encyclopedia of real and imaginary or fantastic animals. So it was this book that was hand-drawn, so it had images and descriptions of the history of real animals and nature, and then each illustration had a little story, and it had some kind of symbolism with a moral lesson. So a lot of things in medieval art were supposed to be teaching moral lessons. So it would have descriptions of native species, so real animals, as well as imaginary creatures kind of all put together. And like I said before, these were all hand painted by an artist. So each book that would be created like this would be one of a kind. So let's look at some of the different animals in these. So this is a selection of dragons and serpents. So you can see they're all kind of different, but they all have different types of bodies, different types of heads. So they kind of look like the griffin in a way. Here are some more. So some have horns. That one's eating an elephant. That one has a guy spearing it through the head. So again, they would describe these as though they were real, but they were used to tell a moral story. So unicorns. So there's some that look more horse-like. There's some that look more deer-like. Mermaids. Centaurs. So body of a horse with the top half of a person. So you can also see at the bottom down there, there's a woman looking in the mirror that has the body of a bird. So lots of different varieties of creatures. The basilisk, similar to the griffin. So this one is kind of a bird, lizard type creature. So hopefully you've got a couple ideas of some creatures you could create, or you could always Google your own if you want to make something a little more modern looking. But remember, our objective is we're going to create a 9-shaped tessellation inspired by any kind of creature of your choice. So we're going to do 9 shapes repeated onto drawing paper. Your design should be inspired by some kind of creature or monster of your choice. So if this didn't inspire you to create anything, you can also do your own research. It should have a chosen color scheme. So as you are designing your tessellation, you want to alternate warm and cool colors, maybe complementary colors. Maybe you want to do something monochromatic, something with analogous colors. So colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So you want to play around with how you're going to color your pattern in your creature. So it really has this sense of repetition and pattern when you're looking at it as a whole. So like I said, your colors should be repeated in your design. You want to create a cohesive pattern. If you're doing a bunch of random colors without much thought, it's not going to look well put together. And then we're going to be creating this in marker with colored pencil. And then if you want to push your assignment a little bit further, you could choose a level 2 or level 3 tessellation style, which I'll go over later. You can do it on a larger piece of paper and do more than 9 repeats, or if you want to make a smaller tessellation shape and then on the same size paper and do more than 9 repeats. So if you want to do that, just talk with me. Or if you want to use a different shape, so you can use any type of polygon with these. So it could be a hexagon, it could be a triangle. The only catch is the sides have to be equal. If you do not cut the original shape out correctly, the whole pattern will not work together. So again, if you want to do any type of alteration of your assignment, just talk to me and we'll figure it out. The last way you could kind of push your assignment a little bit more is you could use the same shape and repeat it, but in those shapes, alternate creatures. So you can create one sketch of one creature and then there'll be a different creature in the next. So I'll have some examples for you to look at. So I hope that this helped you guys brainstorm what you can create in your tessellation, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Good job.